Hey guys, how's it going? Look, today I just wanted to talk about a subject that gets brought up to me reasonably frequently, especially from my clients and a few of the people in the gym, and that is, should they be tracking their macros? Should they be tracking their food intake and counting their calories? So I'm just going to say it up front, there's no definitive answer to this, but what I'd like to cover in this video is just a few of the pros and the cons, because at the end of the day, you've got to weigh these up and find if it's actually going to fit in with you and if it suits your personality and if it suits your schedule, or if it goes pretty much against. If you find that it's more stressful than actually being helpful. So we're going to start off with some of the pros. So first off, we're going to start with some of the pros of counting your calories and tracking your macros. So the first positive is, once you've worked out, and you can just do this by going on to Google and just typing out your basal metabolic rate, which, for those of you who don't know, is just the amount of calories that are required for your body at rest. Let's just say you were doing absolutely nothing during the day, to the amount of calories you need to intake to maintain your current body composition. So you type that in, it gives you a rough estimate. Then you've got to figure out, all right, so say you're doing 500 calories on the treadmill every day, or work out a rough amount, just sort of how many calories you're burning throughout the day. Take into consideration how active your job is, you know, whether you're a labourer or you're just sitting down pushing pencils all day, and that's going to help factor and give you a bit of a rough number. So the first pro to tracking your macros and counting your calories is pretty precise. It gives you a number to work with. So, like I found, I'm pretty guilty of it myself. You'll think, oh yeah, in this sandwich, I'm just going to guess there's 500 calories. There's more than likely going to be like 700. You don't know, that's the thing. You're just guessing. So if you're tracking, you have an exact number to work with, and then if you've been following this and you've got your slight caloric deficit below your basal metabolic rate plus whatever your activity level is, aiming for about minus 500 calories. If you find that after a week or two the scale isn't going down, you haven't noticed any differences, then you can think, all right, so I'm just going to have to probably tweak it here, drop it by an extra couple hundred calories here, and try that out for the next couple of weeks, and keep testing and adjusting till you see some improvements or some results. The next good pro for it is you get to learn the values of the food. So you get to have a pretty rough idea of, say, in a cup of oats plus, say you like having it with a quarter cup of almond milk and some peanut butter, roughly how many calories are going to be in that meal. So if you do that for a while, after a while, that's going to be a go-to meal for you, and you know, all right, so this is worth approximately 600 calories. And yeah, so maybe down the track, once you've lost your weight, or you don't have to be quite as strict, at least you'll have that knowledge forever. The next thing, it keeps it honest. So again, in the nutrition labels, I'm not sure exactly how much leeway is either way of it, but of course they're not 100% accurate, but like I said in the first point, it gives you a number to work with. So if you stick to that, it keeps it honest. So there's no deluding yourself thinking, oh yeah, in that coffee, even though I had like four tablespoons of sugar, there's only going to be like 50 calories, because it's going to give you an exact number. So you've got to put it in, then you know where you stand for the rest of that day. Just a little tip, with counting your calories and with tracking your nutrition, I've found, I don't currently do it myself, it's easier to meal prep and prepare your food for the whole week. So say you've got three baseline meals. So you've got, your breakfast, having the same lunch and having the same dinner. At least that takes up the bulk, so you don't have to keep logging every single ingredient. You can just copy and paste that every single day during your working week, and then you've just got to sort of fill in your snacks if you change those up every day. So that's a good way of keeping, once you've figured it out, done the hard work, you get to figure out, make sure that your meals are pretty close to the macros that you want to be consuming. And the last one, as sort of touched upon in the last pro, it's quite easy to replicate. So it doesn't take a lot of thinking. As long as you cook that food, you know roughly what's going to be there, and again, it's just easy to tweak as your weight loss starts coming to a grind, coming to a bit of a halt down the track. Alright, so those are the pros out of the way. Next, I'd like to touch upon some of the negatives. There aren't quite as many negatives, but I find these ones, they kind of hit you on a bit more of a personal level, and they're quite a bit more impactful than the pros. So the first one is pretty obvious, but it can be pretty time consuming and nitpicky. So you've got to remember, if you're not being prepared and just logging all your meals for the week on one day and then sticking for it with your meal prep, you've got to try and remember after every meal, and I find that can be quite a pain in the ass, and a lot of the times I end up forgetting. Then you miss 3 meals and think, oh shit, now I've got to log 3, I'll just wait till tomorrow, and you just don't develop those good habits. The next one, and this is something that I found, especially when I was younger, and it was after I'd sort of lost some weight, but then when I wasn't in a particularly good space, I was, before I started becoming a trainer and really educating myself, I found it quite easy to become obsessive with a number. So I just chose a number. I hadn't even learned about learning your basal metabolic rate yet. And so I just chose, the number was 1,800 calories, which is retarded for an 18-year-old male who is landscaping for a living. And of course I was starving, ravenous. I never stuck to it. So it started off, I'd be having like 2,400 calories a day, and I'll be thinking, oh, I'll go way over, I'm just going to be getting fat again, feeling really, really shit, really down on myself. Then slowly that kept increasing, then up to like 2,700, 3,000, and it got all up to the point there were times where it was pretty inconsistent, but I'd be having over 4,000 calories a day. I never ended up gaining any weight though, because obviously my energy output just through the work I was doing and through my training was enough, but it played pretty severe psychological stress on me. I found it, I was never happy, and I just always felt disappointed. So that's something that you should sort of factor in, and you think, oh, I've gone over by 200, that means 200 calories, that's like, a 1/12 of a pound that I'm going to be gaining, and it just doesn't quite work like that. Over a long period of time, yes, it'll accumulate and it will turn into excess body fat, but if you go over by a day, especially if you're a bit younger, I wouldn't worry about it too much. And the last one, this probably isn't the most important one, but as touched upon with the time consuming, it's easy to forget and hard to establish good habits. So think about your personality. Are you someone who needs that bit of structure, bit of regiment in their life, so that you like dealing with exact numbers, you like knowing exactly where you're at? Or do you find that you're someone who you find you get a little bit obsessive with it, you don't have the best relationship with food, and compare it to like looking at the number on a scale. If you see that number's gone up by a little bit, not taking into consideration the amount of water, the amount of food you've had, the amount that you've sweated or anything like that, and it can be enough to dishearten you, I probably wouldn't worry about counting calories and just trying to stick to eating nice and clean. However, I don't think it hurts anyone to find out your basal metabolic rate and at least give it a go in the start. Because like I said, if you do it for a couple of weeks to a month with your most common meals, at least it's going to start educating you, and you'll have some go-to meals and you'll have a bit of a rough idea. And then, as you get more educated with it and sort of a bit more experienced, you can start playing around with it a bit more. Let me know what you thought of the video in the comments below, and thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope this answers a few of your questions, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to chuck it a like and subscribe to the channel, as it helps me provide more content for you. See you later, guys.